Hello, everyone. So just a very quick little video here. As most as you know, but a lot of you don't, so we're going to cover valve springs a little bit today. Very important that you set them up proper. You just don't buy a valve spring and throw it in your cylinder head. So what you do is usually you get a recommended valve spring with your cam, or you buy a kit, or your engine builder will suggest the springs to get. It has on here an installed height. It tells you the pounds, and it has an open rate. So what I always do with these is I check everyone, even though they're new. We always check them. So these have an installed height of 1.9 inches. I've already machined the head. I've machined the top. That's all for another video because there's 4 different clearances on the top you got to be aware of. So we set our machine up for our 1.9 inches, and then we add another 100th thou to that for the thickness of the retainer, because I like to do it with the retainer on. That way we're pressing on the inner also. And it's really, really simple. So what I do is you just put it in here. We preset, getting ahead of myself here, sorry. We preset the height. It has a scale on here. So we go to our 1.9 for our installed height. We check it with this just to make sure there's no problem. And then we add the valve spring lift, or subtract the valve spring lift. In this, it's 500, so that takes us to 1,400. Sorry, 1,500. 1,900 plus 100 for the retainer minus 500 for this lift. We put this in here. We lock our collar. We put our spring in, press it till it bottoms out, reach 250. So that is the open spring pressure. And then we write down in order everyone. We keep track of everything. We keep up. It all goes in the file for the engine. And then I just take some valve shims that I've measured to give me my 500 thousandths left. We put this in here. Now it's going to compress 500 thou left. That will be our closed spring rate, 120 pounds. Our box says seat pressure, 112 at 190. So I don't know if I got the math, if I explained the math correct. But anyways, right there is 190, our installed height, plus 100 thou for the thickness of the retainer. Comes out to exactly the measurement we need. We take this out and we compress it an additional 500,000, which is the lift of the cam. And there's our open valve pressure. So we're at 250. Oh, sorry, up here. And we're at 120. So I'm going to write that down. And then I'll put that spring. Where that goes. And we do every one. They're brand new springs. Sometimes there's a problem with them. If there's a problem, it's better to find out now than after it's in the engine. I've had springs, brand new springs, out of the box, haven't been sitting on a shelf for 10 years type of thing, and I've had them out as much as 20 pounds. If your spring is out 20 pounds, there's something wrong with it, and it's probably going to fail very quick. Plus, you're 20 pounds light, right? So, it's just that simple. For the time it takes, cheap insurance. One of these days, I'm going to make some type of, when I have time, tapered step with, 20 thousandths intervals for my lift, and I can just slide it in there. But if I ever have time, I'll do that. For now, I'll just do it this way. Not going to bore you with all 16 of these. That's it. Pretty simple. There's nothing else to add to that. In the next installment, we'll cover the machining of the back of the valve seat. You have to, lots of times you have to cut it or shim it to get your 190 or whatever your spring is, installation height. Lots of times you got to knock the top of the guide down because the retainer will hit the top of the guide at maximum lift. So that has to be checked. The diameter of the guide usually has to be adjusted to put the proper seal in. One of the things you have to worry about with the proper seal is if you're upgrading your springs and it has an inner, it has to clear the inner diameter of your spring. And if you go into a bigger spring, you have to increase the diameter of it, or else this is not going to sit on the top. And you also have to worry about the possibility of not having something to properly locate the spring on the bottom. If the casting doesn't come around after you machine it, then you have to use a shim that either wraps around the base of the spring or has a collar that goes up the middle and locates the spring off the inside diameter. We'll cover all of that in great depth. We'll show you how we do it. We'll actually walk through every individual step and show you guys how to do that. Okay, so I don't know what else to say, but I mean, this is very important, right? It's your valve springs have to be up to par. If they're not, your valves are going to float. You're going to drop a valve. It's not going to rev. If it's too tight, premature wear on the cam. Very important and easy to do. Okay, thanks everyone.